Hey there, fictional friends, and welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shireen.
And it is officially the month of June.
June.
Yay! I would really like it if it stopped raining.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we had like a ray of hope. We had a few days of sun.
Yeah.
But it was like so intense.
But it also got very hot very fast. I don't know. The weather doesn't know what the hell it's doing this year. And I feel like I keep talking about it on the podcast too. I've been doing it the entire spring so far.
Yeah, but you'd have to like spring here is always a little wild. Like I always use the example of this one time when I was at university. I can't remember what month it was, but there was a guy wearing a Canada Goose parka.
Yes.
And shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah, correct.
And I was like, yeah, that's about accurate.
It's the vibe. I don't think you can grow up in Canada, in most areas of Canada, I would say, outside of maybe a couple, and not understand spring and fall layers, the necessary, the necessity of multiple layers.
But it's like the extreme. We're not talking like, you need a cardigan and a jacket. No, we're talking like a parka and flip-flops. That's
exactly.
the extreme.
Or you need to make sure that if you're wearing pants and then in the morning, for instance, you've got like a sweater and a coat on, you need to have a t-shirt on or a tank top on as your last layer because it will be 27 degrees at the end of the day and you'll want to walk into the ocean,
But it's like 10 in the morning.
I know. It doesn't make any sense. It's so weird. I really hope that there are some Canadians who listen to this podcast who deal with very similar things and can be like, yes, correct. I relate to this.
Well, there's also the duality of 10 degrees in the spring versus 10 degrees in the fall, which is...
It feels different, guys.
Very much the same 10 degrees, but in the fall you're like, ooh, I need a cozy sweater.
Chilly. And
in the spring you're like, woo, take all this off.
Layers of it's so true. Oh, it's so true and it's impossible to describe.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was our weather minute here.
Is that a new thing that we're doing?
Yeah, that's it.
For all of you listening from somewhere else in the world.
From anywhere, yeah.
That's our weather minute from Canada.
Back to regular schedule programming. Since it's a new month, we're hopping back into a theme this month. We're, taking a break from the fun and games side of things, I guess. And
we're getting back to it, people.
And this month we thought, we were talking about some stuff and I sent you an article about some things being added to a banned book list, and you said, we could just do a month about banned books.
Yeah.
And we could chat about some different stuff. We could do some revisits of certain things and take a look and maybe question, why is this book banned in any kind of particular
Why are any books banned?
Oh, God, who even knows?
Yeah.
Listen, the only one that I had seen in, I don't remember where I noticed quickly that in Europe, in some places, Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler is banned, and I was like, okay.
But even then, and we're going to get well into it.
And the Anarchist's Cookbook and stuff, then I'm like, okay. I mean, I understand why we got to a banned place, but so many others. So to kick everything off, what we're going to do today is we're going to chat about kind of what banned books are to a degree.
What
anyway.
is a banned book?
What is a banned book? It's not hard to describe, we know. But
it's banned.
Yeah.
Moving on.
But what banned books are, maybe some of the big titles that we see recurring over and over and over again. Yeah. And I think we're kind of going to question a little bit, if we can anyway, or at least posit our own ideas about whether or not banning books accomplishes anything, particularly whatever entity or government bans them expects
is going to
happen, or either if people read these books or if these books are out of
print.
Or
do we do a ceremonial bonfire every time one of them gets banned?
It's very Fahrenheit 451 up in this bitch.
Which is also a banned book.
Exactly. One of those. Ray Bradbury must be rolling over in his grave at this point.
Yeah, seriously.
So, okay.
But before we get started, Megan, what's on your nightstand?
We haven't done one of these in ages.
No, I know. We gotta get back to it.
Yeah, we haven't done one of these in ages because Arthur takes a year to read a book.
And it's all sci-fi and we're like, bleh.
And he tells me about it and I already know all about it. He's telling me about it because we live together.
But we don't.
We don't. God, I feel like I've read so many things since the last time that we did what's on your nightstand that I feel like I have to look up my Goodreads to be like, okay, so not true. Okay, yeah. So since the last time that I did this, so I did read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies.
Oh yeah,
I started the series. It's very, very fun. It's like a really fun like period piece, particularly, and it's I don't know how to describe it. It's like a cozy fantasy, but it's quite clever just in the way that it's written, and the heroine is like Emily is a funny character. I also read Phantasma, and I
want to read
by
that.
Kaylee Smith. I can lend you my copy if you
Yeah,
want.
I know. I'm just irritated because I saw it like on a discount rack and I didn't buy it, and then it was gone, and I'm like, oh.
Was it because you thought you had it or something?
No, I was just being stupid.
Oh,
I was like, $12.99. Like, it's more than $9.99.
Wow, you had a moment there.
The logic was logicking badly.
I mean, if anybody has seen, the trend on like the Canadian side of Book Talk, where the girlies are all crying about the disparity and difference in price between buying books in Canada versus in the States. You understand what's happening because it's like a trend on TikTok that I've come across a few times. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Where girls are like
price
buying
difference.
books in Canada and they're all like looking at the prices and crying in the corner. And like, let me tell you, I feel you.
Yeah.
I think we all do. Collectively, we're all aware of it and we've seen it for years. So I get you.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I've read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I did Phantasma, which was really fun. Very Southern Gothic kind of dark romantasy, which is a fun one. And I recently also read The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst, which is another very fun, like cozy fantasy about a obviously fantasy world, a librarian who works at the in the capital. There's a revolution that takes place and she's forced to flee the library, and in doing so she takes a bunch of the books with her, including spell books.
Right.
And magic is technically illegal in the capital. So she sails back to her place of birth, essentially, which is like a small island called Caltree. And she brings her assistant with her, who was created by a former librarian. He is a sentient spider plant. And he talks, and he like wibbles his little leaves around. His name is Kaz. With a C, not a K. Shireen has a brother named Kaz, so she got real confused.
I was like, Kaz, the spider plant? Sounds like my brother.
Yeah, he's a magically sentient spider plant that's been brought to life.
I love it.
So they sail to this small island. She tries to ignore everybody. She's like super duper introverted and uninterested in speaking to people at all, and she's really like awkward. But then is slowly but surely kind of reintroduced to all of the islanders, who are very lovely and sweet, and wind up helping her.
Cute.
It's so fucking cute. God, it was adorable. And they wind up helping her to, basically what she decides to do is open a shop in which she will be selling a product, but secretly also selling like potions and spells, but not call them that because it's illegal. But she's using it to help Caltree because they're struggling like economically and everything because of certain things, because of the capital, essentially. So she's helping them secretly, or trying to secretly help them. And there's like a cute little love story in there and everything.
Oh, that's
adorable.
cute.
Oh, it's adorable.
That's so cute.
I loved it. Anyway, that was a really cute one.
Kaz gave me a spider plant last year.
Oh my god,
which
that's
I
so
promptly
funny.
killed.
Stop it.
I think I did. Yes, that actually happened.
Kaz gave you a Kaz.
Kaz gave me a Kaz.
That's so great. He's very sassy. Kaz, the spider plant.
I was going to say, I'm like, my brother is too.
Yeah, but the spider plant there, he's very sassy. I think actually, it's one of those, I finished it and I was like, oh, Shireen would love this. It's really sweet.
Hand it over.
Okay.
With Phantasma. Yeah. I still got 2 books that you loaned me that I haven't read yet.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta read those first.
Yeah, that's okay.
See, the problem is because I want to read them, but then you've already talked about them on the podcast. So I'm like, if I read them, then I'm going to talk about them, and it's like, I don't know.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't matter. We'll bore the people. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
What about you? What's on your nightstand, Shireen?
Well, I think if anybody often listens to our podcast, thank you, appreciate you.
Yeah.
I was once again in one of my lulls because I did the thing that I always do where I'm like in a fantasy like series and I'm like, I love fantasy.
I'm gonna read more.
I'm gonna read more fantasy. And then I'm like,
and then you did
I hate fantasy.
Yeah. And then you did that thing where you, what the fuck did you
Quicksilver.
Finish? Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I finished Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm, and then you were like, I'm going to read Quicksilver right after. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Because I think you can read fantasy. Like, if you picked up one of those cozy fantasies, I think you'd be fine. But it's that you hop back into the world building.
I try to get back into the epic fantasy because
I'm do it right away.
I can't. I don't know why I keep doing this. Anyway, so
I think from now on, I'm gonna be like, text me every time you finish a book, and we'll decide what else you should read.
Honestly, like I think that's where we're at because I finished on it because I had reread Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and then on Storm
when it came out,
and I was like. I wrote like 3 articles.
She did. Yeah, that's true. Fullybooked.ca, by the way, if you want to check those out. But just true, she wrote, there's some spoilers and some stuff for it, so just be aware of that. But Shireen wrote a couple of articles after Onyx Storm came out. She read it like cover to cover in like 10 seconds and then wrote about it.
And then I went into like a whole Reddit rabbit hole. Correct. It became my entire identity for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know what I'm going to do?
The entire internet's identity for like 2 months.
That's true. And then I was like, I'm going to read Quicksilver. And I'm like...
Right after.
Oh.
And you were like, shit, it's really good and I'm not liking it as much as I should. Yeah.
So, anyway, Megan she read The Boyfriend, and so she loaned that to me. I read Frida McFadden. And I read that like snappity snap. It was really good.
I'm telling you, we talked about it during the book hangover episode, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a thriller, man.
Oh, it got me right out of it. Right out.
Yeah.
So I read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. Listened to our book hangover episode because Megan talks about that book.
We all chatted about that,
It was really good. And then I was like, ooh... because I have some sort of weird obsessive personality, and I was like, no, I love Frida McFadden.
I read one book,
so I've had The Housemaid sitting on my shelf for like years at this point. And so I finally picked it up because there's the movie's coming out and whatnot.
On Christmas, actually, of this year.
It's
a
really?
December 25th release. I believe it's a Netflix release that they're doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it's not a theatrical, I don't think.
Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, well, I read that, and then I decided that everybody had to read it. So now Megan's reading it, my husband's reading it, my mom's reading it. I'm going to make Arthur read it.
We'll make him read it. We'll be like, well, I mean, if not, you're not going to understand anything that we're talking about. And he'll be like...
Yeah, and like, we might as well just do like one podcast episode. I think we should get my mom on the pod as well.
Everybody.
Anyway, so The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, really good. It's again.
I also read it.
I just
finished it yesterday when we were recording this. And I can't even imagine what the hell I will say. I can't even imagine what these sequels are like. Like, what other crazy bullshit is Millie gonna get up to in sequels to this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Ridiculous.
But like, don't want to give anything away. Just read it. Like, it's another snappity snap.
Very much.
Thriller. And I was saying this to Megan, when I read a thriller, I'm the type of person who I don't sit there being like, ooh, is this happening? Ooh, is that happening? Yeah. Like, I just want to read it.
You're not a theorizer.
No, I'm just going to read it and I'm here for the ride, you know? So really good, really, not quite as twisty as The Boyfriend, I would say, but like the twist, I was like, holy shit.
I don't know. I felt like by the end, there were like 7 different things that happened that I was like, oh shit, wow, okay. Yeah. All right. And a couple of them I was like, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense now. But anyway. But exactly. if you haven't picked it up, read it. It's got like a star-studded cast doing a Netflix adaptation for it this year, right? Sydney Sweeney, Amanda Seyfried, Brendan Sklenar, what's his name?
Oh, the one who was in It Ends With Us.
Yeah, man, he's doing an adaptation run, I guess, this guy. The guy from 365 Days.
Oh
the
my
Italian
God.
Stallion there.
He's the worst pick for Enzo.
I know.
Like, you can't go from 365 days, like, I'm gonna murder you in my dungeon. Yeah.
He was also in that fucking AI movie with Megan Fox, Subservience.
There was an AI movie?
I totally told you about this, didn't I?
No.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
Wait, like it's made by AI?
No. Like it's like Megan, like the movie Megan, but with like a hot robot that like the guy wants to fuck instead of a kid.
No,
this is
not real.
It's so bad.
And Megan Fox was in it?
She's the AI.
Oh no. Yeah. Oh no.
Oh yeah. And at this point she is starting to look a little bit like a cat, so it kind of made sense that she was a robot. You know what I mean? Like when you look at her face for too long, you start to get confused.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something photoshopped about her face. Like,
well,
a beautiful
she
woman.
has had work done, so I mean, yeah, that's it. But yeah, I think it's just like at this point, like the number of procedures she's had done, she's like she looks almost a little bit uncanny valley, so you believe that she's a
AI,
robot. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any hoosers.
Okay, so let's get into it because we've just been talking for 15 minutes.
This is the difference between me and you and Arthur. Arthur just keeps us on track. He's like,
He's
anyway.
so much better at this than we are. He's like, okay, so hey, let's kick this off with a question. He's so organized and he has notes, and you and I are just like, whatever.
And now we've gone off into the ether about
something completely different. Anyway, okay, so banned books. Now, I guess if you've never thought about it before or haven't read anything about this before, which I feel like, there are regular articles and stuff about these things. And when you walk into a bookstore, there are often banned book sections and things like that. So essentially, a banned book is, and we could be talking multiple different states or countries or whatever around the world. It's just any book that at any time has been banned from not publication but from
school curriculum
and from being sold in one particular area. Obviously what we come across very often in North America is because a lot of different American states have multiple books that are banned.
And Canada.
Correct. But if you take a look, Canada has some funny ones. And most of them, at least what I'm reading, a lot of them were they've had their status resolved in been ages, but like there were some well-known ones that were banned for a period of time. Lady Chatterley's Lover was banned in 1928. And it was it was actually only resolved by the Supreme Court of Canada in 1962. So
30 something.
The Naked and the Dead by Norman Mailer was banned in 1948. And just for like a year for obscenity, quote unquote.
I feel like Lolita has been banned and banned and banned.
Well, it has been in several different places. It hasn't been in Canada though.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh no, it has. Sorry, my bad. Banned in 1955, lifted in 1958, so it was only banned for a few years. Peyton Place, banned from 1956 to 58.
Is it Tropic of Cancer banned? Is that a book?
It is a book.
Am I thinking of something else here?
No. I'm pretty sure that you're right. I forget the author or anything, but yes, that is one that probably is as well.
Yeah.
I think the only one that I did see that I was like, oh, that's interesting, is there's a novel. I guess it was a novel that started out as so it was a novel that was written by a newspaper reporter named Nick Prawn called Lethal Marriage, which was banned because, if you're familiar with anything to do with true crime in Canada, you've heard of Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. Okay, so it was a book about them that this journalist wrote. However, it allegedly contained a lot of inaccuracies.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is why actually, so apparently it was banned by the Library Board in St. Catharines, Ontario, specifically. And apparently you can't really find it anymore. So, yeah.
I mean, if it has inaccurate information and what's interesting, and as we were talking about this and I was looking at the list, and we'll get into which books are commonly banned.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll see the commonalities, the trend between them.
Agreed.
And given the current political landscape, you're going to be like, that's interesting.
That's interesting, yeah.
But, I think the way I see books, having studied literature, is that they're a piece of history that was written in a point of time. And yes, they are, they'll be biased in one way or another because of however the author felt about the situation or the outlook or whatever was going on in that environment. But to ban a piece of history that way is just direct censorship. Now, if it's a journalist who wrote an inaccurate retelling of a true crime
event of some kind, or it might be,
then that kind of starts to cross into does that deserve to be banned because it's telling the wrong piece of history? there may be a case to be made for that.
Correct. Yeah. And I find like that's something that you can argue certain things about, like in Cold Blood by Truman Capote about that, because that was something that was largely challenged later on, was that because there was a lack of knowledge of exactly how the crimes took place and stuff, due to like lack of certain aspects of confessions and also conversations, for instance, between the Clutter family, all of whom were murdered. There was no way to know what those conversations were. Right. And so much of what Capote did was embellish a story and kind of create his own narrative. So there has been like a lot of discourse around that, particularly since in this case, In Cold Blood is considered essentially the first true crime novel ever published. So that's something, there's been like a bone of contention there for quite a long time because of that. It's not that it's not a good work of literature. Fiction. It is, but it toes that line between fiction and nonfiction to a degree. You know, it becomes that inspired by a true story,
then
or
a true
based
crime.
on a true story, instead of or like, you know, an account of an exact true story that took place. So
yeah, I see that, and I can understand that as well. But you know, when we were looking through the lists of the banned books, you know, and I was reading what the American Library Association had to say about this. They were very clear that banning books is censorship at its finest. Yeah. You know, if a book was published, and, you know, you mentioned Mein Kampf, for example, like that book is a historical artifact now.
It is,
It's a manifesto for what happened.
Again, what you were just saying, right? In the sense that these are a piece of history.
Yeah.
It's this period of time down on paper.
Yes. And not that I agree with what's written in there.
Absolutely not.
But the thing is, like, you know, if history is not going to repeat itself in the worst possible ways, you know, like if you take 1984, for example, which is banned
in a lot of different
places,
or has been, and now it no longer is. Whatever. Historically, it's right up there on the list of banned books.
Yeah. You know, you say banned books, you think 1984, but
Correct.
George Orwell wrote that in 1948.
Yes.
Just after the Second World War, because he wrote it as a warning of what would happen if we did not, you know, stay aware of, you know, the current events and what was going on in government. And if we, the people, just kind of put our heads down and allowed things to chug along and just said, well, I'm just one of the small people here. I'm one of the many, you know, it doesn't really matter what I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, this is what can happen. And so it's just interesting, because if you are not paying attention and you're not using these texts to study them and, you know, stay aware of what could happen and what did happen, then, you know, it makes you wonder, why are these books getting banned in the first place, and who's banning them?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. It's just an interesting thing to explore. And anyway, I feel like we started kind of, when we decided to do this for this month, we kind of started going down a bit of a rabbit hole and then got extremely confused. And this is something we'll talk about in the coming weeks as well, with regards to like the movies that we're chatting about and stuff, where we really started to question at a certain point, like, some of the recurring titles that we've seen banned. We were talking about, you know, the idea of censorship, and the recurring themes that we see in a lot of those novels have to do with an uprising against a fascist government entity oftentimes, or fascism in general. But there were other instances of us reading through these lists and starting to get very confused, where we started being like, okay, now I feel like we're just kidding around. Like, what?
Walter the farting dog has been banned.
Why is this book banned? Or why was this book ever banned for any reason? Like, why? I would need an explanation.
Is it because he farts? Like, I've never read it, but
I can only assume that he has a flatulence issue.
He's just tooty, okay?
There are just dogs like that. It happens. Okay, so should we talk through, I know we mentioned 1984, should we talk through like a few of the recurring titles a little bit that we were taking a look at? Okay, so we have titles like To Kill a Mockingbird. It's so ironic that so many of these are largely considered classics.
Oh, yeah.
Now, particularly.
Yeah.
But, you know, so many of these are studied in courses and things like that.
I mean, you know, as I was looking through the list, I was like, I've read all these either in high school or in university, 1984, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye. Yeah. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Yeah. I'm just going off memory here. Lord of the Flies. Handmaid's
Tale of Mice and Men.
Yep.
The Diary of Anne Frank is on there. Slaughterhouse-Five is on there. There are quite a number of them. The Giver. Oh, yeah. Animal Farm. All of George Orwell stuff, basically. Fahrenheit 451, which we mentioned earlier. Yeah, that's it. It's just, and
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. But many of these did, kind of give us pause and make us kind of question things a little bit, because we were like, interesting how so many of these books do cover topics of, again, that's it, uprising and people taking back power away from fascist organizations. And in many cases as well, like the hopeful tone that's given to the characters in these novels, and like much of the time the way that these stories end is with these characters being able to achieve their goals.
It's true.
Very frequently. Not all the time, but like a lot.
Except 1984. No. But it's the worst. You should read it though. Very informative. But then there's like this other kind of group I noticed from what we were looking through, aside from like the outliers like Twilight.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
And Walter the Farting Dog. And Water for Elephants and like stuff like that. Like aside from these outliers, there's a whole other grouping of them. Like I think the top 10 most banned books last year for 2024, they were all topics of LGBTQ plus and sexual assault.
Yes. And there are others as well.
And like race
and gender. Exactly. And race and gender issues and politics to do with those things specifically. So those are ones that are very, they're very recurring. And those are other ones that pop up on the list a lot that you're kind of like,
interesting. And once again, like these are books like, there's The Hate You Give. There's the, what's it called now, by Sherman Alexie, the absolutely true story of what's it called?
The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Yeah,
that's it. Like these are just stories of like one person's lived experience based on their identity, right?
What's the other one? All Boys Aren't Blue.
Right.
That's a big one, it seems. That is consistent. It's a memoir as well, but that's another one that's like consistently banned.
And this is someone's lived experience that they're sharing, and crazy. You can learn so much. Like when I read the Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian, I was so shocked at how this person was being treated, but also about the way the narrator was talking, that they didn't blame anybody for how they were being treated. It was just a statement of this is culturally how things are going on. Like basically it's Sherman Alexie's retelling of their upbringing. Yeah. They didn't grow up on a reservation, but they went to school on a reservation. Okay. They were half indigenous, and so they didn't have a place anywhere, basically. And so again, it's like, this is just someone's lived experience in their story, and now we're banning it. Yeah. But surely that's teaching empathy. That's teaching why it's important to be inclusive, right?
To be inclusive. But then that begs the question, if these are being banned so frequently, is that the government's way, and any place in which this is happening, is that the government's way of saying we don't want inclusivity?
Well, and then, you kind of look at it like, so on the, I think it was the Barnes and Noble website, or was it the American Library Association? They were explaining that typically, those who are requesting these books to be banned or challenging them, it's not like parents and stuff overall. It's like these groups of who identify in a certain way. Religious groups or whatnot, and they're approaching and they're wanting to censor these stories, and it just makes you wonder, like, why?
Yeah, that's it. Like, really, what will, I guess, where you can't help but start to question, what will it accomplish to do this? And really, will it accomplish their goal? Because I also, at this point, when we enter New Year's and we continuously still have books added to lists of banned books and governments in different places banning new titles, I can't help but question certain things because, again, you are trying to prevent people's access to these pieces of literature. And I just have to wonder, how you expect to be able to maintain that with the internet being what it is.
Well, and also these books are banned, and I'm using air quotes here, but I rocked into the, New York Public Library and freaking whole shelf space was dedicated to banned books. So librarians aren't banning the books, and they're not forced to remove them from the shelves necessarily.
Not in all places.
In all places.
I guess my question would, I think you would have a different experience in different places.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, if I went somewhere like Alabama,
maybe,
probably, but I don't know. I've never been to Alabama.
I don't know. That's it. I just don't know what the experience would be like, and I guess I don't know what the bookstore would look like to a degree there.
I don't know. If you're from Alabama, hi. Howdy.
Yeah, hi.
Can you
let us know? Maybe is there a particular experience that you've had with regards to this? I don't know.
And then the other thing is, we said at the beginning, if you ban a book, is that actually going to prevent somebody from reading it, or is it just going to put it on my radar as something that I now want to read?
Correct. And even if you ban it, I can't buy a physical copy in a bookshelf. Well, here's my tablet and my phone, and I have a Kindle Unlimited subscription.
Yeah. I'm just gonna download it.
Just download it onto my device, and I can read it.
Well, it's it's like when they try and ban porn.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
No,
you're like, what?
You can't ban
you can't ban something that you can access online for free at any time of the day.
Right, sex and drugs, it's the oldest two things that we try and control and ban, and it's the more you rally against it, the more people are gonna do it.
The more people are gonna go looking for it.
Exactly.
And that's it. No matter what, especially for younger people, I always feel maybe people get too strict about it and try to stop certain things, but there have been so many instances and real world examples that prove, even in your own lives, I'm sure, that prove that no matter what you do and how much restriction there is, you cannot stop adolescent sexuality from blossoming. You cannot stop young people from being curious. It's not possible.
It's not possible. It's a biological reaction.
Correct. Yeah.
And you can ban porn all you want. You can ban the books that talk about these topics, but it's still going to exist. So why not have outlets where the curiosity can, I'm not saying everybody go watch porn.
No,
whatever. But you want to watch porn, you're able to go.
Listen.
But
you
I'm not saying, I'm not anyway, I'm going off the rail. Edit this out. Edit the porn rant out.
I'm not going to. All she's trying to say is anything that you would like to do in terms of anything like that with a partner, do it consensually.
Yes.
With both parties, and that's it. And anything you want to do in your own time, be safe about it. That's it.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. There we go.
But it came out as go watch porn. Oh no, our podcast just got banned.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Shireen's now an advocate for the pornage. Listen, people who work in adult entertainment are going to be very satisfied with that. So
hey, our listeners are just going to go up a lot here.
That's it, exactly. Go watch porn. Oh dear. Anyway, but yes, back on track. I just have to question. I have to question the thought process and how the people who are doing this, and I think it speaks to the generation of the people who are choosing to do this in the first place, that they perhaps, in some cases, truly believe that simply banning this book in their area as well, because a lot of these are in individual, let's say, states or something, will somehow stop people from having access to it. We live in a world where that is not possible.
Yeah, it's just odd that there's energy going into stuff like this.
Correct.
When instead you would be better educating the masses.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like a waste
topics.
of resources.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why don't you take those resources and you put it towards, like, better education?
Yes. Yeah. Overall, everywhere. Because most places could use it. Except Scandinavian countries. You guys have figured your shit out over
guys.
there.
Like, yeah, way to go.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Moral of the story, we should all move to Finland to educate our children because it's a really good idea.
Okay, I thought you were going to say the moral of the story is we should all watch porn.
If you feel like it. If you want to, go right ahead.
I'm so tired.
Apparently, Shireen's all for it.
I'm so tired. My husband's going to be listening to this episode and he's going to be like, what is wrong with you? Like,
he knows you're tired. He also has a 5-month-old baby. He's aware.
So
She's so cute. She takes a lot of time.
oh,
and
she
energy.
really does.
Oh, boy. Yes, okay. To answer our question from the beginning of the episode, I don't believe that you're preventing anything.
Not at all.
Truly.
Like, me personally, if you told me, like, for example, I think the first time when I was a teenager and I heard about this list of banned books, I actively went out and I found all of them and I read them. Yeah. Because all of the ones that you, like, listed at the beginning, I've read all of them. Yeah. You know?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And that's going to continue to happen.
Of course.
As these things go on and as we waste our time adding more of them to the list for some reason.
New ones every year. And now the funny thing is that, like, Barnes & Noble, they create those lists and they're like, here, you want to read them?
Yeah. Here are the things that have been banned before.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So, listen, for the rest of this was just kicking things off. For the rest of the month, we're going to maybe explore a couple of those titles and we're going to talk about some things probably a little bit more in detail with regards to like some of these big titles perhaps that have been banned before and like what they mean. Oh God, you're losing it over the porn again, aren't you? Anytime that anybody spends any time with Shireen, you can see her about to laugh like a mile away. It's so bad. She's like red in the face, which never happens. She's embarrassed herself about this.
I'm just picturing if anybody I work with is going to listen to this episode, I'm like, oh God, and I keep talking about it.
They are. And I'd really like to hear their thoughts after they do. Okay. Anyway, in the meantime, we're going to wrap it up because it's the end of the night and it shows. So in the meantime, as usual, feel free to check out everything that we have going on over at the website at fullybooked.ca. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. Just search for Fully Booked CA and you'll find us over there. But until next week, guys, and a little less porn, hopefully. Keep on reading.
Thanks, everyone.